Chicago Bulls have a very important decision to make as they have to hire a general manager. So who will that person be? I discuss what is going on, y'all. Fox Sports Talk back at it with another video talking about the Chicago Bulls. So if you're a Bulls fan, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. What are you doing? Go ahead, subscribe, follow me on my social media as well. My Twitter, Instagram, links down below in the description on the screen for that as well. So I'll go through all of the candidates that are so far in the pool of candidates, and then talk about who I like, who I don't like, and ultimately give you the GM that I want the Bulls to hire. So let's get started. So obviously the Chicago Bulls have a new executive VP of basketball operations in Arturos Karnisovas, who is now running the show, and he's in charge of hiring this new general manager. Really, he's in charge of hiring everybody in the front office, but you get my point. And he's already begun going to work by hiring an assistant GM in JJ Polk of the New Orleans Pelicans, who is a salary cap guru / wizard. I spoke about him in a separate video, which you guys can obviously go and check out. But with that being said, now Arturos has to hire a general manager. Obviously a very key position, which was formerly filled by Gar Forman, who has been reassigned to scouting duties, thank God. And so what do we know about this position? We do know the candidates, okay? There have been a number of candidates that have been linked to this position, and these are from trusted sources like Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, Casey Johnson, who's a Bulls reporter, I believe, for NBC, and various other reporters that are obviously all legit and trusted. So I'm not pulling these names out of thin air. They are coming from legit sources. And the other thing we do know is this hiring is going to be somebody of color. Okay, that is what has been reported. I believe it was Winston Goodwill who reported this, that Arturos plans to hire somebody of color. Look, as far as, you know, whether the Bulls go forward with this, obviously I don't mind at all. I want the best candidate. That is more important to me than anything. But certainly that is fantastic that the Bulls are looking at that. So with that being said, we do know most likely it's going to be somebody of color, and we do know the candidates, okay? So let's take a look at the player pool that we have. We'll start off with number one, which is Calvin Booth. Calvin Booth is the assistant general manager for the Denver Nuggets. He's obviously worked with Arturos in Denver, and obviously that would be fantastic for the Bulls if they were able to get him, because to me, a general manager should be an extension of the VP. I mean, they need to be fully in sync. I mean, you need to literally be lockstep with each other as the, VP and the general manager. You can't be clashing heads here, okay? So that would be fantastic for the Bulls to get Calvin Booth. But the problem here is that a lot of the reports are saying that he is probably going to get promoted to general manager for the Nuggets now that Arturos has left that spot. Okay, so he's a candidate. Next one we've got on the list is Mark Eversley. He's a senior VP of player personnel for the Philadelphia 76ers. He's got a ton of experience in the NBA over the years. He was hired by Brian Colangelo. He's worked with the Wizards and the Raptors. He's worked for Nike before, so ton of experience here. His expertise is player personnel, okay? Then we've got Mark Hughes of the Clippers, who is the assistant general manager of the Clippers. He's been in that position since 2017. He's a former professional player. He's got experience as an assistant coach and a scout. And, so obviously he's been working in the league for quite a while. So he is another candidate. Then we've got Matt Lloyd of the Orlando Magic, who is the assistant GM of the Orlando Magic. He's been that since 2012, I believe. He's even worked for the Bulls, actually, for 13 seasons as the director of college scouting. So he's got experience, I believe, now with Jerry Reinsdorf, I'm sure, because he worked for the Bulls before. But he is a candidate. Then we've got Shane Battier, who has been linked as well, who obviously we all know Shane Battier, a former NBA player, was with the Miami Heat when he won a couple of championships. And he is the director of basketball development and analytics. That is his title with the Miami Heat, okay? And he's been in that position since 2017. Pat Riley hired him, so he's been working there. But he's been respected by a lot of the NBA circles as an up-and-coming, great basketball mind as an executive / front office individual. Okay, next up we've got Michael Finley, another former NBA player turned front office executive and a pretty damn good player, if I might add. Okay, he was obviously played for the Dallas Mavericks and he was fantastic for them, and he works in the Mavericks front office as an assistant vice president for the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, so he's another guy that's been touted as somebody who's ready to make that leap in the front office circles. Okay. And then the next candidate is Mozzie Mohammed, who, if you guys remember, he actually played for the Bulls for a little bit. All those Bulls Heat series in the playoffs, he was the guy that pushed LeBron James. If you guys don't remember, go on YouTube. It should be all over YouTube. But Mozzie Mohammed is the guy that played for the Bulls, and he's now with the OKC Thunder. And here's the title that they have given Mozzie Mohammed. I'm literally reading what I've seen here: Professional Evaluation Scout / Identification and Intelligence. Okay, kind of looks like a made-up position, but so be it. Okay, so he's another guy that has actually been touted, similar to the other former players turned executives, that is, somebody that could, make that leap in the front office. And then finally, the last candidate is Dell Demps, who was the former GM of the New Orleans Pelicans for about 9 years, 2010 to 2019, before he got fired for David Griffin. You guys remember that? So he actually has, obviously direct GM experience. But the one thing I will add about Dell Demps is he was the guy who got let go because he turned down a monstrous offer for Anthony Davis. And obviously the Pelicans thought that, they should have taken that offer. The Pelicans should have taken that offer, and they didn't. And the offer got a little worse. Now, they still got a fantastic package, even when David Griffin was hired. But the offer was a little sweeter, and that's why Dell Demps got fired. Okay, so there you have it. These are the candidates for the GM position, and there are certainly a lot of guys here that would be good candidates to me. So what have I said before about a general manager? This is my thinking on a GM. Obviously, a GM and the VP has to be lockstep, like I mentioned earlier. They need to be in sync. Got to be on the same team here. But also, the general manager's got to have an eye for, player personnel, roster evaluation, and being able to know, just how certain individuals fit and the team chemistry, whatnot, trades, free agency. I mean, the whole 9 yards. You got to be able to have that as a general manager. So, to me, if we've hired a guy that's got a ton of experience in Arturos, more than likely, I probably want somebody that also has a ton of experience in a general manager. I'm not saying that it's the end-all, be-all, but I would probably prefer that. Because to me, with the Bulls rebuild, we're embarking on something where there's no more room for error. We went through 17 long, hard, strenuous years with Garn Pax, and I'm done giving them chances. So now the new regime comes in, and I want to get the best guys possible. I don't want to make a mistake. I want to get the best people in the building, and the best people usually have the most experience. Not always true, but more than likely. So when I take a look at these candidates, obviously Calvin Booth to me would be fantastic. You're literally bringing in the guy who Arturos worked with. We know they have chemistry there, and from reports that I've read, Arturos wants him. So if the Nuggets don't give him that GM job, I believe the Bulls can get him. So he'd be probably my number one option. Then I like Mark Eversley for the Sixers. Ton of experience, again, with the Sixers team that went through a rebuild that the Bulls should be looking at. Again, you're talking about a team that was the worst team in the league, and now you went trusting the process, and you went to literally a championship contender in a handful of years. So you got to be able to look at that and see, that the team went through that rebuild. Because when I take a look at, a certain other GMs like the Magic with Matt Lloyd, the Magic have still not become relevant in terms of championship contenders. So I'm not sure really, what he's done to make the claim that he would be a good general manager. So as far as the list of guys that I see, I like Calvin Booth. I like Mark Eversley. In terms of the players turned as executives and Shane Battier, Michael Finley, Mozzie Mohammed, if I had to pick, I'd probably go Michael Finley. I think he's got the most experience out of the three. And I've heard a lot of great things about him. Mark Cuban spoken about him. And listen, I get it. Mark Cuban obviously is the guy who is his boss. But listen, Mark Cuban, when he talks, I listen. He's a smart guy, obviously. And so we know that Mark Cuban probably doesn't give out compliments like that. So Michael Finley would probably be my choice there. Heard a lot of great things about him as well. Now, Dell Demps, again, he's got the requisite experience that I talked about. But again, he made that foolish mistake, and it cost him, obviously his job. And he was replaced by David Griffin. Now, I don't mind Dell Demps. I don't think he's a bad GM. I don't think he's a fantastic, out-of-this-world general manager. But I don't think he's, bad at all. So to me, probably go something like Calvin Booth, Mark Eversley, Michael Finley, and then Dell Demps. That would kind of be my list. And here's the thing. I'm pretty confident it's going to be one of these guys, because when the list came out for the executive VP position, I mean, Arturos was on the list, and he ended up being one of them. So he ended up being the guy who got the job. So to me, I'm pretty confident it's going to be one of these guys. But if I had to go with my pick, probably be Calvin Booth, and then it would be Mark Eversley. Then it would be Michael Finley, and then Dell Demps. So there you have it. My choice for the new general manager of the Chicago Bulls. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree. As always, thanks for watching.